I'm Miles Carter, and I'm here to speak out loud what you've been carrying in silence. Back then, I was maybe 20, nothing in my pockets but fire in my chest. No kids, no mortgage, no habit of being scared. I could sleep on the floor and eat instant noodles 5 days in a row and still feel like a king, because I knew I was going somewhere. That's how I ended up opening a nightclub. Not because I loved dancing or wanted to be some nightlife mogul, just because I could. Found an old basement space, paid my last dollar for the rent, bought some cheap lights and speakers, called 2 DJ friends. First night, 8 people showed up. Second, 25. A month later, packed house. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was doing it. No backup plan, no fear. My mom thought I was crazy. My ex texted me saying I was wasting my life. But I kept buying light bulbs for that basement, each one bringing the dream a little closer. I didn't need permission to succeed. I just started. Now, when I look at guys who are 30, 35, they go, if I didn't have so many responsibilities, I'd try something too. And I think, nah man, you missed the window, that time in life when you could fail and it wouldn't kill you. That's the secret. Your youth is the only investor who doesn't ask for returns. And if you spent it binging Netflix and texting your crush all day, sorry, bro. Time slips away. First quietly, then with a bang. After a few good nights, the club started gaining traction. People didn't come because it was trendy. They came because it was alive. Real. No flexing, no flashy clothes, no VIP sections. Just music, darkness, and enough light to see each other's eyes. But I started to realize, running it all was harder than I thought. I was the DJ, the bouncer, the janitor. Sometimes, even a therapist. People showed up just to talk. One guy cried in the bathroom because his girl passed away. A girl danced till sunrise because home was hell. It wasn't just a party spot. It was an island. A little world to hide from the pain for a few hours. I wasn't thinking of business back then. I was just creating a place I wanted to be in. Ever done something just from the soul, no strategy, no plan? Just because something inside was burning? That's what this was. Then I started a small gaming room at home. Not a real club, just set up 3 computers in one room. For friends only. We'd gather after school, play CS, Dota, Lineage, boiled dumplings in a pot, ate 'em right over the keyboards. It didn't make money, but it brought joy. I was the guy who built the vibe. No drama, no fights, everyone knew Miles had his rules here. No hate, just fun, laughs, and that brotherhood vibe. Sounds simple now, but back then it was everything. And you know what? That's where it all starts. With something small. 3 PCs and a bag of dumplings. You build a space, a vibe, and maybe it grows, maybe it doesn't, but you're never the same. Sometimes new guys would show up. I'd watch them, shy at first, then slowly getting pulled into this other world. No judgment. Didn't matter what kind of family you were from. If you played well, you were in. And sometimes, we'd just sit in silence, each on our screens, but it was the warmest silence I've ever known. Not loneliness, real connection. You don't see that much anymore. Now it's just phones, scrolling, headphones. Back then, we were together. And maybe I didn't become rich off that club, but I realized something. I knew how to bring people together, and that turns out is rare. Later, I turned my living room into a mini home theater. Projector, speakers, blankets, popcorn in a bucket. I hung up a white bedsheet, that was the screen. Might sound silly to someone, but for us, it was an event. Every Friday, we'd gather, pick movies, argue over who had the worst taste. And still, we watched them together. Sure, I could have just gone to a regular cinema, but it wasn't about the movie. It was about the moment. When you're surrounded by your people. When you don't feel like a stranger in the world. When you create warmth instead of waiting for someone to give it to you. Those were the years when I didn't yet know how hard life would get. But on those nights, I felt rich. Not with money, with life. A couple of years after I started my first projects, life took its course. I got married. It was a new chapter, with new responsibilities and joys. Time changed me and my perspective. The disco I had opened with so much passion and hope had to be closed. Competitors were relentless. New clubs popped up with louder music, flashier ads, and bigger investments. I tried to keep my regulars, but I simply lacked the money and energy. Time went on and the competition grew fiercer. It was a lesson that sometimes desire alone isn't enough to stay afloat. Then it was time for the computer club. Back then, many people didn't have personal computers at home, and my club was a place where guys came to play, chat, and meet friends. It was great. I was proud to create something of my own and useful. But technology doesn't stand still. PCs became more accessible, and the internet reached every home. The guys stopped coming, they played at home. My club began to empty. Eventually, I closed it too. Later, I opened a small home theater, an idea that seemed cool and promising. I did it for myself and friends. We gathered to watch movies and hang out. But with streaming services and people's hectic lives, cinema visits became unpopular. People just didn't find time for that. My home project almost stopped working, and I felt like I was missing something, that the world around me was changing, and I wasn't always keeping up. Life began to pull me in a different direction. Family, work, kids, it took all my time and energy. I hardly had any free time for startups and new projects. My business dreams felt distant and unattainable. I realized many things were just in the past, but I didn't regret a single step. All those projects were priceless experiences and lessons that made me who I am. It was important to try, not to be afraid to take the first steps. Now I understand that these attempts and mistakes shaped my character, taught me not to give up and to look for new ways. Maybe if I hadn't tried when I was young, I wouldn't have learned what real responsibility and persistence are. These projects taught me important things: how to work with people, how to plan, how to deal with failure and keep going. So if you're young now and wondering whether to start something of your own, don't be afraid. Better to try and find out what suits you than regret missing your chance later. Life is movement, and in this movement, real victories are born. Thanks for listening. I needed to say it. Maybe you needed to hear it.